All right. Saturday night. The kids are out. Hey, we get the show on the road, guys. We can still hit it tonight. It's Christmas season. Everyone's feeling that festive flow. Celtics are feeling it. No Jaylen Brown. No problem. 112-96. Is that the score? Yeah.
Yep, right
Celtics
there.
with a 112-96 win. How are we feeling? Noah, Bobby, Jimmy?
Top 3 win of the season.
Top 3 win of the season? I've heard it all. Amit, hit the music. Always has to be a shot at somebody.
I know.
They're never clean.
They have to run. That's the only shot they have.
They do it for 82 games. We're about to find out.
He already has shown what he's capable of.
Did surprise me. I thought we were going to hang in there.
This makes me think that we do need to be humble.
I actually think you're the only one who deserved that beating.
Come on, Noah.
Yeah. Come on, Noah. Bob your head. You just called it a top 3 win of the season. You just called it a top 3 win of the season. Come on, you're feeling it. How do we feel about a top 3 win, Bobby? You buying this?
Why is the music still going?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Saturday night.
Keep it going.
Hey, it's the holiday season.
Where's the hard hat, Jimmy?
Yeah, where's
You know
my
what,
hard
Bobby?
hat?
That's a great call. I think this was a hard hat win. No Jaylen Brown.
Go get it.
Christmas. This is green.
Luka Garza was
way-
working. Hard hat. Lunch pail.
By the way, if you guys
9
like,
offensive
Tofu.
rebounds.
if you like what you see here, hard hats are on sale. 30% off still in the merch store. Code Black Friday. Yeah, we know it's still not Black Friday anymore, but we're just rolling with that code all the way through the Christmas season because it takes
Great
it's
gift.
confusing changing the codes up. 30% off. Celtics went to work tonight. No Jaylen Brown. I'll be honest. I never thought the Celtics would win a single game this year without Jaylen Brown in the lineup. They're 2-0. So something's cooking with this team. Noah, why was it top 3? You have the floor.
Okay, it might not.
Take us
That was a little bit of an
Okay,
impulsive call,
But the point stands. It was a good win.
No,
It was a good
top
win.
3.
You think?
Bobby doubles
Yeah.
down on it. Okay.
No
Hey,
Jaylen
first
in
of all,
Toronto?
No Jaylen Brown, and I like the fact that they won in a completely different way than how they've been winning. Like they were not shooting lights out. They out-rebounded the Raptors by a bunch, and in general, the starters came out kind of flat outside of Payton Pritchard and Amish Queta. Like a lot of guys struggled, and other guys just stepped up. And to me, like we've talked about this all season long, but the hallmark of a good team is a team that can win in different ways. And Luka Garza
Preach.
gets 9 offensive rebounds. Hugo has a double-double, first double-double of his career. And Derrick White, hits the threes when it counts in the fourth quarter. Payton Pritchard played at an all-star level in this game. And I think
there it
you
is.
have
Oh, good grief.
all of the factors needed for a hallmark win. I mean, they've had a lot of good wins this season. The Knicks win, the Pistons win, but to beat a good team without Jaylen is a really good sign.
Yeah, and they had to change their identity for this one. It was so interesting to see them go Garza in place of Jaylen. Like that's the rotation trade-off essentially in this one. And then they again shifted lineups and rotations throughout. We've said it after almost every win this year. They're all going to look different. They all almost end differently than they started. We praised the closing lineup last game, and again they found a lineup that worked for the second half in this one, and it was mostly Garza, Queta, a little bit of Minot. You had Queta and Garza out there together at one point, and then you're closing with Hugo and the starters as well. Great games from the guards. They just keep finding ways to win, and they have a lot of paths to victory too, which is what's so impressive. Last game it's the shooting. This time it's smash small with offensive rebounding, leaning into their size and offensive rebounding advantage over Toronto, who's missing their center in this one. So it's such an adaptable group to the circumstance. Obviously,
Next man up,
Jaylen
Bobby.
here. Yeah, and then guys stepping up off the bench, and Garza, who hadn't played since November 29th, at least rotation minutes, Jimmy. He looked so fresh, so ready to go. Defensively, I thought he was good too.
He was working out there. This guy, I thought he fourth quarter looked like he just got out of the shower. He was going all.
He looks like he plays hard. You just see him after a play, doused in sweat. His hair is all over his face. It's crazy.
Laboring. When he goes up the court, he goes up the court. Everybody knows it. You can see it.
And I said it, Noah. I didn't think we had seen the end of him. Like he was buried, but something was going to change to free him up again. And it was Jaylen sitting out. Surprisingly, I did not expect him to be the answer to that solution or that issue.
And you mentioned No, I don't mean to cut you off. But Bobby, you mentioned Hugo to start here, really filling in nicely for the bench unit. Feels like every night there's somebody kind of, at least on the win, somebody different kind of stepping up. Jordan Walsh didn't have it tonight. We just got a word that it wasn't disciplinary. It wasn't any reason other than Jordan Walsh was feeling ill. Was not performance related, nothing like that. Gary Washburn from the Globe tweets that Joe Mazzulla said Jordan Walsh was feeling ill before the game, gave the club what he had. His benching was not a disciplinary or because of performance. So we can put that little drama.
Toronto flu?
I guess. Yeah, the Toronto flu. But hey, Hugo.
Muted, Noah.
Noah, you're muted. Ooh, we haven't had a year muted in a while. You're muted.
I was just saying,
muted.
They sit together on the plane, maybe it spread.
Oh.
Well, they didn't sit together on the plane this time.
Well, maybe.
They say it's going. They say it's going around. A lot of people are coming down with.
Oh man, last year was
Christmas now, too.
nightmarish. Noah remembers my illness last January. That was
Yeah.
awful.
In LA.
Does she,
Yeah.
though?
I remember it. Yeah, Bobby had to go home in the middle of the road trip.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that
It
too.
was
Actually,
shocking. Yeah.
yeah. That's
With
to
the
be honest,
flu.
Bobby. We were all talking about that was kind of a weak performance, but nobody flies home because they're sick. I've never.
No, I went to the Lakers game on the second half of that back-to-back. I almost died. I gutted it
Everybody's
out.
when you're sick, don't take a flight, kind of stay away. Bobby's on the next flight out, just the entire plane went home sick.
No, I gutted it out big time.
You mean you gutted it out? You literally took a flight home and went to bed.
No, I went to
nobody
2
heard
games
from you
ready
for
to
a few
die.
days, dude. I remember nobody heard from you for a few days.
Well, I felt bad because Dallas was the game where the reporters stood courtside, and it was the first game that Bobby had missed because of his illness. So when I saw that, I felt bad.
So
That's
Walsh
why
has
I
the
really
Bob.
remember your absence.
Walsh has Bobby flu. Hopefully, he can recover a little bit easier than Bobby did. But good on Hugo. Good on Garza. I mean, that's seems to be the story with this team this year. And again, one of the reasons why I've to this point been very wrong. I got friends texting me wanting to remind me how wrong I've been about this team. I got one this morning. Thank you, Dan.
You ready to admit it?
I've already admitted that I'm already admitting that to date I've been very wrong about this team. I thought that
here's a John response.
Yeah,
well, listen.
I don't. Why
We're 28
guys.
Here. We're 28 games into the season. I
So
think.
that's what I'm
How many
saying.
games did you have them winning? 28.
I had them winning, I think, 35 games. So yeah. And listen, I'm not rooting against the Celtics.
Okay.
Good on them. I've already said to this point I've been wrong. My only concern is that I'm not entirely sure they keep this up because I do feel like some of these performances that they've been getting. I mean, it's a great thing. I'm so surprised by what
You're
we've
at a
got
loss
from
of
Jordan
words.
Walsh. I am. I'm so surprised by what we've got from Jordan Walsh. I'm surprised by guys stepping up the way they have, Hugo, Garza. I mean, these are guys, Minot. These are guys that nobody wanted. Nobody had any clue really about other than maybe diehard Timberwolves fans. I don't think anyone thought Jordan Walsh was going to be a part of this team, really, realistically. And
Not to this degree.
personally, I didn't know that Jaylen Brown was going to be able to play at this level. I respect Jaylen Brown. I do think he's played as one of the best players in the NBA. I wasn't sure that he was going to be able to play at this level as long as he's been able to. And I hope that he does. I think his leadership has been unbelievable this year. I think obviously when we say he's in the MVP conversation, I think we all say that knowing that he's not top 3 in the NBA right now, but I think it's important to at least acknowledge how important he's been to this team. And he is really the main reason. And I know they won tonight without him and good on them. But I think, if Jaylen Brown isn't playing the way he's been playing this season, that record could be flipped. You could very well be 11-17. And I don't think anyone would bat an eye if Jaylen Brown isn't giving you, 30 a game, averaging 30 a game like he has been this year. So there's been a lot of reasons for why I've been wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong. My only concern is that, the defense has been well below average. I think we can all agree overall. And the offense has been exceptional. So if the offense dips a bit, that's where my concern is because they haven't really been able to rely on their defense. Isn't really necessarily winning.
The defense is so weird to me because I was looking at it this morning when I was writing. They're second in points per game allowed, to the Thunder, which is
Right.
crazy. But they're 18th in the efficiency stat. So they're not per possession playing great defense, but because they're such
They're
a
not
slow
bad on
paced team.
defense. I just feel like it hasn't. They're not leaning on it as I think as much as people thought maybe they would.
Well,
be.
it's kind of crazy because I think we all want to see them play faster this year. We all want to see the pace improve, but they've carved out a good to great defense by slowing the game down. They're last in pace again, like they were late last year, and that's pretty much allowed them to be the second ranked defense. I don't know if that's sustainable. It almost didn't work against the Heat yesterday, who put up 1 million shots and flew up and down the floor, but they've done a good job controlling the pace of these games now. And I'm still a little torn on which way to lean there. Like, are they 18th in defense or are they actually second? Probably somewhere in between, but it's a weird disparity there between the two different numbers.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's definitely felt like they've been a better defensive team than the numbers have shown. And part of that is the defensive rebounding woes, which at times have been like the number one issue on the floor. Not tonight, but for the most part, that has been probably the biggest concern with this team. But for all the credit that Jaylen should get, and we've given him a ton of credit as he should on, for the success of the season, the thing that I think has separated this team from what most of us projected is these other guys that have found ways to impact winning. And the fact that it's not been the same guy every night is maybe the most impressive part. Like, how many shows have we done now talking about Jordan Walsh and his emergence? How many shows did we do earlier in the season specifically about Josh Minot and when he was starting? Kind of his revelation there with him. And then these last games.
Sorry to cut you off, Noah, but Judah's been MIA this season. Welcome to the show tonight, Judah. Just came on to call me out, I guess. Anyways, keep going, Noah.
No, and then tonight it's Hugo, and it was Hugo now back-to-back nights that he's playing at this level that, I mean, anybody that saw this coming, I'd love to hear them say it at the time, because I didn't know anybody that thought this was going to be Hugo's impact in December after being drafted at 19 off of 6 minutes a night in Real Madrid. So it's been just like that's been the factor for this team. And then even other guys like Baylor Scheierman plays like 6 minutes in this game, but he was awesome. He had some great plays, a couple steals, offensive foul. Like, they've just found ways to get something out of everybody. Luka Garza's been out of the rotation for weeks now. He had no reason to think he was going to play today. I'm not there reporting on this game, but I would be shocked if he had any heads up that he was playing in this game. You never, they never do on these things.
Well, Bobby went through the centers last game or two games ago. They were playing.
Oh, we have to update the center chart.
We do. Is Garza now your fifth center?
Cater first center, Luka second now. I guess Minot's bumped back to third.
Yep.
And like, again, he has his flaws, as does everybody else that's kind of been in this. I mean, you're not a minimum contract player if you don't have your flaws, but they've just found ways to get the most out of everyone. And this is not the first game that Luka's played a massive role in contributing to a win. Like, you had that Orlando game too, that was awesome. And then we might not see from him for a few weeks, or Xavier Tillman comes in for that 76ers game and gets the game-winning stop. Like, it's just been really impressive, that part in particular. And I think if you have to pick one person, you probably give Joe Mazzulla the credit there. But also Brad Stevens for getting this collection of guys together that clearly fit better on the court than people projected they would. I mean, even me, I was high on this team. I think, Bobby, we both had them winning 45 games, but like, that was me being optimistic. I don't think
I saw somewhere the over under up to 49.
Like the current. Yeah, I think I remember you saying that. You bring up Brad Stevens, and the one thing Brad Stevens was great at as a coach, not saying he was only good at one thing, but one of the things he was great at was raising the floor. He could take, relatively, I don't want to say bad in quotes, because, you're in the NBA, you're not necessarily bad, but he took lesser players and made them better. He was able to get a lot more out of them than what I think a lot of people or a lot of other coaches could. I mean, Evan Turner comes to mind. Obviously, he's probably the main one there. But you can go down the list of players that he was able to sort of
Phil Pressey.
Sure, we can toss Pressey in there. There's probably better examples, but Pressey, sure. That was something that Brad Stevens was great at, and maybe he's able to identify players that might have, as the GM, if you will, he might be able to find players that he feels he can identify that will be able to do that.
Producer, that's a good example.
Well, yeah, Isaiah was,
Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder is a good example for sure. Isaiah was established already. I'm thinking a little bit deep, like a little bit more deeper than that. But point I'm trying to make is Brad Stevens was rated as a coach. I think he might be able to see it maybe in players that other coaches might not be able to. But Joe Mazzulla is also proving to be excellent at it. It seems like Joe is able to really, his coaching style, he's just incessant, I think. And I think he really he expects so much and he demands so much from some of these guys that are like, towards the end of the rotation or the end of the roster or whatever, that he's pulling things out of them that maybe they need to be pulled out of. Maybe they need that extra intensity that Joe provides. Maybe they need that extra motivation. Whatever it is, it's allowed this bench that I thought was arguably the worst bench in the NBA going into the year. I mean, if you've got a couple really bad ones, Washington and Brooklyn going into the year, everyone thought was going to be bad, but I put Boston down there with the worst of them. And it just hasn't been the case. I mean, they've really been able, you can credit Joe, you can credit Brad, you can credit just the Celtics culture, right? I mean, Boston being the Celtics being an organization that doesn't turn into like a Memphis or although Memphis is playing a lot better now, but
Memphis
Wizards or whatever, like an organization that is very used to losing, right? And the Celtics aren't that organization. They haven't been for many, many years. And maybe that's part of it. But I give, if we play credit cake later, maybe we can do we'll do credit cake later. And it's going to be who gets the credit for the Celtics being 17-11. That's what we're going to do at the end of the show.
This is fun.
So I don't want to give my answers, but I think there's a lot of credit to go around for that.
For sure. And in terms of getting the best out of guys, I think it's less pulling them aside and talking to them and coaching them up and developing them than it is just putting them in positions to succeed. I think the style that they've played this year has put numerous players in great positions to take advantage of, namely their offensive rebounding strength, which, I mean, this team, I was looking at some of the numbers this morning, writing about the small ball lineup. Even when they went to small ball over this extended stretch to begin December, they still ranked like 3rd or 4th in offensive rebounding rate to begin the month. So that has been there all year. The ability to foul with the intent of forcing turnovers has helped numerous players on the roster take advantage of their ball pressure skills. And, when I think of Walsh, who obviously didn't play a ton tonight, Noah, we've raved about his improvement, and I'm sure he's improved some, but in past versions of this team, he would have to come into games and not foul. He probably wouldn't have as much offensive leeway as he's had on this team to play with the ball in his hands, attack guys off the dribble, do all the different things we've seen him do. So I think the opportunity's there for guys, which always helps. You can play through stuff, but the system and the stuff they want these guys to do all fits their strengths. If this was a different team and they didn't have as much freedom to try things offensively or just fit into their strengths, do those things and just focus on those things exclusively, I don't know if as many of these guys would be as successful as they've been. So Joe said it before the year, we're going to play a style that fits the roster, and everything they're doing fits the players that they have. I don't think it's that any of these guys individually have played over their head and out of this world. I think they're all in great positions to succeed.
For sure. That's a big part of it. And the other part of it is that they went out and got those players. They draft Hugo. They go out and get Josh. They got guys that fit this style. And I do want to, it's so hard to, whenever a team is playing well, it's so hard to split the credit between the coach and the product on the court and the execution and kind of the individual players. Mm-hmm. There are some things that Hugo does that, as much as I want to give Joe Mazzulla credit for everything he's done this year, that's just Hugo gets the credit for that play because he has an ability to do things on the defensive end that is kind of mind-blowing. And to me, I know he hasn't always been in the rotation this season. There's been a couple week periods where he really hasn't played much at all. But when he is playing the way that he has the last couple of nights, that just seems like you got a lottery pick in the draft and you just got him late in the first round. That's what it feels like we're watching. I mean, Drew said it on the broadcast that he has the best plus minus of any rookie in the entire NBA. And yes, those are more limited minutes than some of these other guys, but that's in and of itself really impressive because it's not like he's playing on a super team, he's oftentimes playing with other bench players too. So Yeah, it's hard to like pinpoint exactly what exactly went so great for this group. But the biggest thing that I would say is having like multiple options at that position has been really impressive because a night like tonight, if whether Jordan's sick or he doesn't have it or whatever else, like you don't have this like zap of energy where then it's like, okay, that's just a loss. No Jaylen Brown, Jordan didn't have it, that's just a loss. Instead, you have Hugo. And how many nights have we seen it be the reverse where Josh just didn't have it and then you have Jordan? And that's why they've won 17 games, right? Like they're probably like down 5 or 6 of those wins if the guy who they had been relying on in previous games just doesn't have it on that next game. Joe has just been so quick to yank guys and be like, okay, it's his night, And even Baylor has found ways. I've been so impressed, honestly, by Baylor's ability to stay in this rotation, despite the fact that he's never really broken through and just has become a master of playing well for like his 5-minute stints. So it's just been fun. It's been so different than other teams that we've covered, and other teams even around the league that have like a depth of these energy guys that are so bought into being ready. Like the second their number is called, they're going to come give you 1,000%. And if they mess up, there's somebody else that can go play that role.
We mentioned Hugo a few times. You guys are both, as you should. What'd you love about or like about what you saw from him tonight? Obviously, double-double. I think you said his first double-double of his career, 10 and 10. Very, very Hugo-like game. Obviously he's new, so we're still learning a lot about the kid. But I think you see his aggressiveness out there. You see his like nose for the ball. You see him willing to put his body kind of out there. He obviously looks like a young kid, able to throw himself around and not really miss a beat. What'd you like about him tonight? And Noah, to your point, Exhibit A for what you just talked about, somebody that was able to sort of step in. Walsh didn't have it, sick, get him out. Hugo goes in, and he's able to really pick up kind of where Walsh would have probably done.
Yeah, I think Hugo and the bench, Garza, Simons, those guys all came in at the same point in the first quarter there, and it was like plus 15 run. They went on 16-0 run to close the first quarter. So the bench group with a hockey sub flipped this game. All 4 guys coming in off the bench and playing great together alongside Pritchard, I believe, or maybe it was White. One of the starters stayed in, and they just went on this great run. And for Hugo tonight individually, rebounding there, dominant part of the game, the win for the Celtics here. But I like the moments where he took it off the dribble in the different circumstances, played with the ball in his hands. I feel like he got to do a little bit more of that here tonight. Got to play more of a wing role / position. We were talking about his center contributions against the Heat, and in this game had to move back to forward and play more of a perimeter role on both ends of the floor. And you just know what you're going to get from him for the most part each night. Didn't have a 3-pointer going in this one, but at the basket was productive. A couple of those misses were like on one like volleyball put back play. So it was a better shooting night than it looks there for him from the field, from the 2-point range at least here. And still a lot of fouling, but this is back-to-back games where he's plus 22 last one, plus 37 tonight. I believe he's the rookie leader in plus minus, they were saying on the broadcast, Noah. So every time he's going in the game, it feels like he's doing something positive. And we said so much yesterday. It feels like you can just say all the things that we did in yesterday's show and afterward, and it would fit his performance tonight. He's just ultra impactful, smart, poised, consistent. It's amazing to see right now. And I said this to you during the game, Noah. I feel like we're right around the corner from him potentially jumping in the starting lineup with the momentum he's playing with how much he is doing for them. We saw that shift from Minot to Walsh at one point. Love what Walsh is doing. I wouldn't say remove him yet, but Hugo's going to make that push. And I feel like on this team, nobody's safe. Nobody's role is secure except for maybe like Jaylen and White to some degree. Like that's it. Everything else is a battle day in and day out, as you saw tonight.
For sure. Yeah, I think I expect Jordan to keep starting, but I also think that the bigger question is like, is Hugo going to be a consistent part of the rotation? I remember before the season when we were making our projections, I said that he was going to play 15 minutes a night. And a couple weeks ago, I checked and he was at like 10 or 11. And I was like, oh, okay, actually, he's not at 15. And I felt like he would have been just based off the fact that he had a couple of these really big games. But if you really look through his game log, he's had a lot of games where he's barely played this season.
5-6 minutes.
I think the tides might be turning on that. I think we're going to start seeing him even on a night where it's not necessarily the Hugo show. He's giving you 20 minutes because he's just that important. He makes so many good things happen on the defensive end. I mean, he had 2 steals in the beginning of that fourth quarter that were both plays that I don't know anybody else would have gotten those steals. And he plays under control. And he plays with this level of emotion that is going to make him just a fan favorite in Boston, because I think about this a lot with emotion. If you're an emotional player, people that are watching feel like they can feel what you're feeling, and that just makes you more relatable. It gets the fans
Deep.
more excited. Yeah, and it's at times it can. I think it's actually hurt Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, because both of those guys are pretty even keel on the floor, and so it makes it harder for fans to like feel what they're feeling. Hugo plays with more emotion than any player I've seen in a long time. You can see when he's celebrating, he's going crazy. He's devastated. He makes a mistake. He talked about it last night after the game, where he just says he feels the game so much. In a game like tonight, he was feeling the game, and it was just going exceptionally well for him. And it just starts to spread to everybody else. And Derrick mentioned it yesterday. When he's playing as hard as he's playing, everybody else has to also. Like, you can't just watch him play the way that he's playing and then not match that level of intensity. So sometimes, like when you look at the plus minus stuff, sometimes I think that's an impact of not just like his defensive presence, but also like the guy next to him has to try to match that. Even if that guy is Anfernee Simons or Luka Garza or somebody that historically hasn't been like the most elite defender, you have to try. And so it's just been contagious, and it's been almost every time he's played this season. Sometimes it's just kind of cut short when he has like an ill-advised foul or something, but the energy's never wavered.
Yeah, and we'll see where the shot settles. I think that's going to be interesting to see when he does start playing more consistently. Teams are going to probably try to challenge him more on the outside than they have so far. There was one play in this game, though, where Pritchard was getting going in the third, right? He got on a roll there, hit a bunch of shots. So Raptors started collapsing on him, showing him some extra bodies. There was one play where he drove. All 5 Raptors were watching Pritchard, and Hugo just got to walk back door for a layup or dunk or whatever it was, because no one was even paying attention to him. And I feel like he's been in that position a lot this year, where teams just look at him and say, all right, this is the guy we're going to ignore. This is the guy we're going to play off of here. And as you start to play more, that changes a little bit. It didn't change a ton for Walsh as he started to start and play a consistent role for this team. But it changed a little bit. And I'm sure it will for Hugo too here, as he does log more minutes consistently. I think you make a good point there about where the minutes are pointing for him at the moment. So it's definitely going to be either a bigger role at minimum, Jimmy, or potentially a start here and there. He's on the edge of that for sure. And the ability to play center now too makes a big difference there. Like, you can put him at the 5, it feels like.
What do you think of Hauser getting the start tonight? I mean, Hauser's probably been struggling more than anybody on this team. Joe goes to him to start. I wouldn't say it worked out. You think if that opportunity comes up again, where Brown or White or somebody who's firmly in the starting lineup, do you think, is that when you are saying that you might expect to see Hugo kind of get his break in there, or are you saying regardless of Brown being in the game, Bobby? And do you think the Hauser situation is cause for concern? Doesn't seem like tonight didn't really get him back on track. I know he hit a couple threes, but overall negative, and just didn't really feel like it was a
I feel like he's going in the right direction off last game too. He was critical with 4 threes in the fourth there to the turnaround in that game. So yeah, he was great yesterday, and in this game, in this game he was fine. Again, it's not a ton that he's given you. It's not a ton that you're asking for from him in any given spot. It feels like that's the automatic choice now in these circumstances. Hauser's almost the next man up. They wanted to start him at the beginning of the year. It just didn't fit. The rebounding and other things that they needed. And yeah, he's given them good defense. A huge rebound at one point in this game. There was one board he grabbed in traffic where I was like, whoa, that was crucial, just given the moment and the difficulty that it happened in. I'm trying to see how many he had here in this one. It felt like 6, good number for him. So yeah, I felt good about his game. Starters struggled in general. I don't think he was the reason they were negative there. And that's just a default, I feel like, for them. And any given night, if a wing's out, even if a guard's out, if Pritchard was going to be out with the neck spasms the other day, I fully expected Hauser to step into that spot, and then they're going to stagger White and Simon. I don't think you're going to see Simon start this year. You could see Hugo step in maybe in a certain matchup. You could see maybe them go a little bigger and go double big maybe. But the one thing I don't expect them to do is start Simons this year. It's almost like Pritchard last season, where they're just going to leave him in that spot, and they don't want to mess with that, particularly because of the guard rotation.
They don't want to mess with that? I think they've messed with it plenty, to be completely honest.
Yeah, but like in terms of where he's playing, when he's playing, that sort of thing.
You just think he's firmly... You think he's just firmly...
He's firmly there, in my mind.
You're talking about Pritchard?
Simon's coming off the bench.
Yeah, I haven't seen any sign or signal that Anfernee Simons is going to be in the starting lineup at this point in the season. But I think for Sam
A
Hauser, to your
spot
point,
start.
Jimmy,
I think we're
like,
talking spots. Yeah.
yeah, I think Sam Hauser seems to be the guy that they like to come in when they're down.
That's
a
what I was
starter
just
to
saying.
replace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, I think that's not even just a this year thing, right? That's years past as well.
They love him. Great
Um,
guy.
Yeah. Should we talk about Pritchard, or do you guys
Yeah,
got some ads?
I was
No, it's
waiting.
like, I don't
You
care
know?
about Hauser.
The
I don't care
chat
about
is begging
Simons.
for
Let's talk about
Pritchard talk.
Pritchard.
And I think
I
people are
actually
kind of
know what?
expecting me to take the
The
lead
people
here,
want
so.
Hauser talk, Jimmy.
They're
said.
not according to the chat. They're asking to talk about Pritchard.
I actually
I'm happy to talk
purposely
about Hauser. I think
I
he's been
purposely
fine.
wanted to see how long we could go, Noah, without you like kind of champing at the bit
We're
to,
gonna
to
do the
talk
Jaylen.
to talk Pritchard. Pritchard had an unbelievable night. Before we get into it, though, we're going to remind everybody why we are able to come to them for free tonight on YouTube, and that's because of our good friends at Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, guys, the best time of the year for sports. Bowl games are on today. Basketball matchups, playoff pushes, it's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, Bobby, you got your Christmas shopping done yet?
I'm a
course you
last
don't.
minute kind of guy.
What to eat? Yeah, you'll be at Macy's like rummaging through the bin on Christmas Eve. Which game to watch? There's one place where it feels good to be right, and that is Prize Picks. Love jumping on Prize Picks, especially around the holidays. You're home with your cousins are over. You're talking shop, you're talking sports. Toss on Prize Picks. You can go more or less on. You can pick your favorite players. You can go more on your favorite players. You can go less on the players that you just can't stand and root against them. It's just a great way to add to the already fun atmosphere you get around the holiday season and mixing sports into that, where it's football, basketball, whatever it may be. New feature alert. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Maybe, you hit on a couple guys, or your guy's going off, and you say, you know what, I'm not so sure about the second half of this thing. I'm going to cash out now, and I'll take those winnings and I'll put it towards the next game that you want to play. So a really fun addition to the Prize Picks stuff that's going on here. Offers stacks. I mean, you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. More on Jaylen Brown right now is the way to go. You can go to more on 3-pointers, assists, all that stuff. Pick all of them in the same lineup, only on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. We got the Christmas slate coming up in a few days, 5 games. You can literally just plop yourself on the couch at 12 o'clock. And it's Christmas. The gifts get opened up earlier. All that good stuff.
Cavs, Knicks, Spurs, Thunder,
Oh,
Mavs,
Cavs Knicks
Warriors,
is a great
Rockets,
start.
Lakers.
Yeah, I love Knicks at noon. Just gets the juices flowing.
Cavs have stunk though. Crazy season they're having.
I know. I can't figure the Cavs out at all.
It's probably the most
Knicks
surprising season of any team.
Rockets Lakers is gonna be fun. Ime and LeBron. Ime just yelling at. You see, Ime was yelling at Derrick Queen the other day. For
That was
some
so
reason.
weird. I would love to know what they were talking about. I was like, what could you two be talking about?
And then the line I still love. The ref was starstruck.
That was good. That was really good. Although what I thought he said would have been better, but turned out that
Did he went home with Jokic?
Yeah.
Okay, Noah. We've gone 30 plus minutes,
home.
and we haven't really dug into the Payton Pritchard experience that
the
we
Boston
all
Pea Party
able to witness. Pea Party was out in full effect tonight. I can't believe that nickname hasn't stuck. It's still time, guys. We got to get Boston Pea Party shirts, I think.
Yes.
What went right? What went right? Is it just, Jaylen Brown's out? There's more shots to go around. There's, Payton Pritchard kind of taking on a bigger role, a different role, kind of being maybe a little bit more proactive out there and getting into his offensive rhythm. Is that kind of how this sort of starts, and then you kind of go from there, Noah? Or is there more to it?
I mean, obviously you think about the third quarter. Third quarter, 19 points on 8 of 10 shooting. That was crucial, right, to bounce back there. But if you look, I looked at the 3 games this season that Derrick or Jaylen have sat. 2 without Jaylen, 1 without Derrick. He has 42 points against the Cavs. Kind of carried them in that game, with Jaylen actually having his only like non-30-point performance in the last 10 games. And then the 2 games without Jaylen, one against the Wizards, he had 20 points and 8 assists, and then tonight 33 points and 10 assists. He has really succeeded when he's been like the number 1 or number 2 guy on this roster. And when we look at like, we're just talking about credit cake and like who gets the credit, this game and then the Cavs game, I thought they were very susceptible to losing, second night of a back-to-back on the road, missing one of their 2 or 3 best players. And he came through and really shouldered a ton of the offensive load. And I think he struggled quite a bit with his shot this season, particularly from 3-point range. He's been really efficient from the non-restricted area, like paint shots. He's been like top 5 in the league there with that turnaround, that pull up, like that's been a really good move for him. But I still feel like what he has been able to do at times this season has been so valuable. Like when they just really needed him, he has provided. And where the challenge has been is like when a game like last night or 2 nights ago, was that last night? Last night. Where sometimes I feel like when he doesn't get a ton of shots, he doesn't ever get in a really good rhythm, and he's such a rhythm player. And he has to get better at that. Like Baylor Shriman comes in and he's been shooting 50% from 3 on 2 attempts, right? Like that's not an excuse, but at high volume, like this is what he is capable of. And like I know I've gotten a lot of flack over the last couple of years for my Payton Pritchard takes. They are campaigning him for All-Star. He's one of 3 guys that they're campaigning. He's not going to make it, but he has shown flashes in nights like tonight where you see what the vision is for when the ball's in his hand more and when they really need him. And the last thing I'll say is it really helps that he's a very good ball handler and that his assist to turnover ratio has never wavered this season, even when the 3-point shot hasn't fallen. Like that's the number 1 part of his game that I think people still miss, is that when the ball's in his hands, good things happen, and he just does not turn it over. And this team's hallmark of success has been they don't turn the ball over, and he's like at the forefront of all that.
I'm campaigning for Jimmy, podcast host of the year.
Ooh, don't tell John. Don't tell John he's going to start going on his own tour. Bobby, take it.
I love the short to mid-range stuff. He did it again tonight, 7 for 11 outside of the restricted area in the paint. That brings him up to 51 for 81 this season, which is like 65%, close to it. It's crazy what he's done in that short to mid-range area, especially since, as you said, no, the 3 hasn't been there for him for a lot of the season. I did see a chart this morning that he is the worst 3-point shooter among their regular contributors this year, but he's still the best among all the worst 3-point shooters in the league.
You don't need that. Don't bring that negative energy to the show tonight, dude.
It's
to
true.
Me, though, it's worth noting because I still think that's going to trend upwards. Like he's not going to finish. I mean, he might, but I don't think he's going to finish shooting. What is he at? 33-34% on the season?
Well, that's what's so interesting to me. Like we keep saying like, oh, this team's been shooting so great. They're going to come down to earth. But there are a lot of players on the team, namely him, who could point upwards as White has recently. And we haven't mentioned White a lot tonight. Outstanding run for him continues since that off night in Cleveland where Pritchard went crazy. They rested White in that game, and he's been outstanding ever since shooting the ball. So definitely the extra opportunity. I think that's a good point, Noah. Getting to play with the ball in his hands more. We know that that's his best role. That's where he's been at his best when other guys have been out, and he's been able to step into those primary roles. So it makes you feel good about the fact that if someone does miss some time among the big 3 there, obviously an extended absence wouldn't be great for this team among any of those players, but it feels like they can step into larger roles, Pritchard and White, do some good things there. White hit some tough shots again in this game. It's unreal how difficult a lot of the attempts are for these guys, and they continue to knock them down. So I'm impressed by what those 2 guys are doing to try to work themselves out of slumps right now. This is great stuff from this team, the depth, and against a great opponent. And for White and Pritchard specifically, Noah, Jaylen said it after the last Toronto game a week or 2 ago that the ball pressure from this Raptors team is so intense. Even some of their depth players just put an enormous amount of pressure on you as a ball handler. And for White and Pritchard to succeed at the level they did tonight, going against that without Jaylen taking the pressure off them, obviously they're getting tougher defenders and more of a look from the defense overall in a game like this. It's impressive what they were both able to pull off here in this one, because the Raptors were fully game planning to take both of them out of this one. There's nowhere else that you'd be looking to slow down the Celtics, and they both still had solid to good to great games in this.
How can they get Pritchard to be more, I guess, offensively effective when Brown is there and White is in like that? You know what I mean? Like, obviously we know what Payton Pritchard's capable of. We know that on any given night he can not miss. And we know, Noah's mentioned his ability to, not turn the ball over and, be a good distributor. How can the Celtics or Missoula or his teammates get him to be more consistent offensively, when they're at full strength? I mean, because obviously that would be a huge boost for them to be getting. I'm not saying he's going to give them 30 plus points, but I mean, I think we could all agree that there's been a lot of games this year where Payton Pritchard's been, I'm not going to say non-existent, but not really part of the offense.
Yeah, it's something I thought about a lot because I kind of expected that the shooting would just come around, and it did for a while, but then December has been an off month shooting for him, and he's still at, even after tonight, he's at 33% from 3 on the season. Part of it is there are areas of the floor where he has been extremely effective. Like I mentioned, the non-restricted area paint touches, he's been with Jokic, right? That's the category that he's in. So maybe making a little bit more of a concerted effort to get him those looks early on. And that gets things going. And when we talk about it, like the ball goes to the basket with a layup or a free throw, like, can that open things up for you? I know Joe Mazzulla is kind of like, he's not the biggest believer in that concept, but I think sometimes that can have some validity to it. And then you look at the 3-point shot, a lot of times, and this was the case last night versus Miami, he took 8 threes. He made 2 of them, but a few of his threes early on were like last second heaves with the shot clock winding down. And now you're 0 for 4 from 3 because you took 4 shots that were like the possession was already broken, right? That hasn't been like all of his 3-point shots. Like, I'm not going to like make that excuse for him, but I do think sometimes he started the game without getting some clean looks early on. So it's going to naturally just turn because he's not a 33% 3-point shooter. Like we have enough of a sample size of his career at this point. He's not a 21-year-old. Like, he's been playing basketball for a long time. It's going to naturally come back. I don't think he's going to have like an incredible shooting season when it's said and done, just because of how slow the start has been. But a couple percentage points, and like you look at everything else that he's doing, I don't know. I think he's just been very solid for what they've needed from him so far this season. And the fact that he has been able to step up when they've needed him to is almost the most important thing here, right? Like, they need to know that if Derrick or Jaylen is out, can you get 30 from Payton Pritchard? And he's kind of shown that you can get that so far.
Yeah, it's a tricky challenge to put him in those positions consistently because he's not going to get a ton of ball time when White and Jaylen are out there. He's not going to get a lot of advantageous matchups, especially now that teams are keying in on him.
I know you're saying he's not, Bobby, not to cut you off, but why is it that simple? I mean, he's clearly capable of taking on a bigger load. And we posted a comment from Judah Tunes earlier. I mean, is it just him needing to just kind of be more aggressive and take the initiative and direct the offense a little bit more? I mean, obviously, like when Brown's in there, sure, I get it. You got to defer to the superstar, but you're also, we know what the NBA is. It needs to be more than 2 guys, right? It needs to be more than 1 guy. Like, you do need more of Payton Pritchard contributing in the way that he did tonight. But while Jaylen Brown's out there and while Derrick White's out there, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's not going to be in actions a ton when you think of if better defenders are on him as they've been this year. The way their offense works is they're going to do a lot of screening to try to set up mismatches. And so he's not going to be in those matchups a lot. He's probably going to be spacing and trying to pull the good defenders out of the lane to, allow Jaylen and allow Derrick to, have those looks. And he'll get his too throughout the course of the game. In fact, I think he's been an excellent pick and roll player this year. Last I looked at the very least. So, they are putting him in positions where, if you look at his assist to turnover ratio this year, he's been effective in those spots. In fact, I just pulled it up. He's or the Celtics are in the 50 or 77th percentile. Pritchard himself, as a pick and roll creator, is in the, let's see here, probably upper half of the league, I'd imagine, at the very least. I've enjoyed his pick and roll productivity this year. Yeah, he's in the 62nd percentile there. Spotting up, he's 75th percentile. So, the numbers aren't bad on him. 75th percentile isolation. It's just about opportunities and consistency night to night. And I do feel like he goes in waves now of like 33 on crazy shooting, 27, 42, and then he'll have like 10, 13 on, mediocre shooting. And so there's just these big waves, big fluctuations in productivity. And as we know with this offense, a lot of it is just matchups setting up the best situation for the best player in that spot. And he's with the starters now. So he doesn't get as many opportunities to play with the ball in his hands, to play against second units, weaker defenders, all the different things in the past. And we're just seeing the process, I think, of him acclimating to more attention, more responsibility, and obviously playing the toughest lineups and the toughest situations of every game. And I think if we do just boil it down to him missing shots, he has done a decent job this year of adapting to that role. I think if you said coming into the year, this is what you were going to get from him in terms of the productivity, I think some of us would be a little disappointed. Like, I came into this year saying that there could be shades of Isaiah with how much he goes off and how amazing of a season he would have. So holding him to that standard, he hasn't met expectations, but in terms of controlling the ball, making the right plays, having big games here and there when they've needed him to, I feel like, I don't know, what would be the right word now for his season? Passable? Good? Like, I think those are fair descriptions for what he's done so far.
Yeah, and it's tough because both him and Derrick, like, some of where they've been disappointing is our own very lofty expectations. But it's like Payton Pritchard's not on an all-star contract, right? He's not in a shades of Isaiah type contract. He's on a bench player contract. So,
but he's in a big role on this team.
For sure.
They do need a lot from him.
They do. And I think he's given them what they've needed, but he hasn't blown away the way that, like, maybe we thought that he might kind of step into this role and take this leap into, like, superstar, stardom.
Jalen's been that guy. It's funny. None of us want to say Jalen's going to be the all-star. Jalen's going to be first team All-NBA because it's a little boring, but that's what it's been.
Mm-hmm. I think we all expected him to be an all-star. I don't know that we expected him to be playing at the level of consistency that he has had. I mean, he hasn't struggled at all with having all the defensive attention on him. To your point, though, earlier, Bobby, about Payton and the defense, we look at games like against the Pistons. He has Asar Thompson guarding him the entire game while Jalen's averaging 37 points per game against Detroit. And, like, I've had moments where I'm like, why are they putting Asar Thompson on Payton Pritchard when Jaylen Brown is, like, cooking whoever it is that's guarding him in that moment? But he's high up on team scouting reports, and it's not unusual for him to have one of the opposing team's best defenders guarding him. That was not the case last year. So that is a part of what we're seeing here, is, like, that adjustment. And that's a great thing. Like, if you can get Asar Thompson off of Jaylen Brown for much of a basketball game, like, that's a huge win, right? And so the fact that he is not somebody that teams are, like, at all forgetting about at this point. I mean, he's probably number 2 or 3 on the scouting report still every single night. I still think his season's been very solid, though. And obviously a game like today, the Cleveland game, those 2 games, like, you probably just don't get those if he doesn't go off the way that he did. And now you're talking, you're 15 and 13. Like, that's the amazing thing when we were thinking about who gets the credit. If you single-handedly powered, like, 2 or 3 wins on the Celtics team, like, you are the difference between them being 17 and 11 and 15 and 13. Like, that's how small the margin of error is right now. So it's been cool to see that so many guys have had their hands on wins in different moments.
Yeah, and I'll throw in one more thing on him. He's just been able to, like, drive their ball pressure attack, turnovers, keeping it low. Like, there are little things. Rebounding in this game, like, excellent. 8 rebounds from Pritchard. I mean, you'll take that all day long that's been one of your biggest needs this year. So he is a guy who finds other ways to succeed when shots aren't falling. I'm looking at some of the matchups for him this year defensively. Nothing pops. Jalen Suggs. You mentioned Asar. He's fared well in some of these matchups too. So, yeah, I don't know. You know what I'll say, Jimmy? If he was disappointing, if he wasn't playing well, this is how I know he's been fine. If he was playing poorly, we'd be screaming, start Simons. The chat would be going, put Simons in. And you don't see that. So I feel like Pritchard's been
We should not make our assessments, though, based on if the chat's screaming.
No, I'm just saying, like, if it was obvious that he was hurting them,
yeah.
he would.
I know, but the chat is a dangerous place.
You definitely don't want to get caught up in the chat. You don't want to get caught up in the YouTube comment sections, like the next
Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that goes without saying. Twitter is not a good place to be. We don't even need to.
Jimmy, you get many hate tweets?
I used to, but I don't really tweet much anymore. You guys probably don't.
You used to get hate tweets?
I mean, they don't boo nobody's. They don't boo nobody's, Noah. If you're not getting hate tweets, guess what? You don't matter.
Yeah.
So that's really what it comes down to. I used to get them more when I was, like, tweeting more, but now I just kind of retweet the show stuff.
Now it's more just like in real life hate.
Yeah, now I just get hate in person. People are, like, very, like, upfront about it, which is nice. And just hate me to my face,
That's the way to do it.
No, it's all good. No, I'm a lover, not a hater. But yeah, again, awesome game from Payton Pritchard. By the way, the results are in from our poll. We did a little poll. Was this a top 3 win? 75% of you believe that yes, in fact, tonight was a top 3
I'll give
win.
all 3 of them right now. The Knicks game, the Pistons game, and this one. I think it's pretty easy.
Okay. I mean,
at the time, the Cavs win felt like a top 3 win. Second night of a back-to-back. No
They beat him
Derrick, no
twice.
Mimi. But then, especially the second one. But at this point, I'm like, we got to go back and erase the value of those Cavs wins because everybody's beating the Cavs. So.
it's starting to, the strength
Not
of
what
schedule.
I thought it was at the time.
Right.
But the Knicks
like
have been awesome. I mean, the Knicks
basketball.
have been very consistent. And so have the Pistons.
Just won the NBA Cup.
Famous.
I know. There goes another prediction of mine. I said the Celtics were going to win the NBA Cup. That one fell flat.
And what's the
Wow,
other
we
one,
can
Jimmy?
already
The
X
really
one
good
out.
one you had? What's the
that's
really,
still,
really, really good
That's
one?
still live. The Celtics might go
what was it
entire. They might go an entire game without hitting a 2-point shot. Yeah, I still believe that could happen.
Yeah.
It's possible. Last year they had a game where I think they hit 9, and Tatum had 7 of them. We went over this, so it's still very possible. They might get 3-point happy some
It's
game.
pretty funny. I was Googling the Garden Report the other day. You know how they do like the little like AI whatever like overview, and it said the Garden Report where they make bold predictions like the Celtics won't make a 2 for an entire game.
No way.
No.
No way.
You see what you've done to us, Jimmy?
I've completely invalidated our show. Noah's like cannot be attached to that. Cannot be attached to that at all. Like she's gonna like try to like get a really important interview one day. They're gonna Google the show and they're gonna be like, "Did you guys say this?" She's gonna have to go on. No, it's just my idiot co-host who just like rambles on.
That's exactly how I'll
It
say
says
it.
nothing. Speaking of, this is the Garden Report. For those of you joining us and you're new to the show, or you're just kind of tuning into this season because you finally believe in the Celtics team, you are watching the Garden Report post-game show. We're live after every game, Monday through Sunday. A little Saturday night show tonight. The kids are out tonight. Me, Bobby, and Noah. I'll consider myself a kid. Nobody needs to know how old I am. The adults, I don't know. Saturday night, maybe they're out.
Rare Saturday appearance for you.
Christmas shopping. I know. I'm trying to be a good boy. So I'm on my best behavior tonight. I'm also having a little bit of a I guess some Christmas obligations this weekend. So I can't be, on the naughty list, if you will. But this is the Garden Report postgame show, proud part of the CLNS Media Network. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications so you never miss when a new video drops on the channel. And hopefully you're watching us on the CLNS Media Boston YouTube channel, because if you're watching the Celtics All Access, by the way, thank you. But the show at some point will not be airing on the Celtics All Access channel. It will only be airing on our main YouTube, CLNS Media Boston YouTube channel. The Celtics All Access is still going to be the place to go for all your Celtics content, videos that we, produce, and the live, what do you call them? Post-game interviews that you guys do, and a bunch of content's going to be on that Celtics page. But this post-game show will eventually only air on the CLNS Media, YouTube page. So make sure you subscribe to that. Make sure you follow us on social media, Celtics CLNS, and follow our show on Twitter at The Garden Report to stay up to date. And hey, if you want even more from us, check out the CLNS lineup. We've got, I already mentioned the Celtics All Access. We've got NBA History channel, where our the podfather himself, Nick Gelso, is a huge part of that channel. Great interviews with some NBA greats, Celtics, all the way on down, Lakers. Great show with Coop. You've obviously got the Cedric Maxwell show. John Zance is part of that as well. Patriots, little Sunday night action tomorrow against the Ravens. That's going to be a fun one. You want to follow it all on our Patriots Press Pass channel. That's honestly the best Patriots coverage in town. We've got Bedard, we've got Taylor, we've got the whole gang of guys. Content Monday is live. I don't go anywhere else for Patriots content. I truly am saying that. Monday from like 4 p.m. all the way on down, we've got unbelievable podcast shows for everybody to watch on YouTube and listen to and download. And the Bruins win tonight or lose? I feel like they lost. I'm not sure. Actually,
They lost, yeah.
They lost. Damn it. Okay. Well,
Why would you bring that up?
Well, because I'm going to tell everybody about Bruins Rinkside. But unfortunately, it's probably not the happiest place to be tonight, but I'd still check it out for your content. Bruins were home tonight, and they're home tomorrow against the Senators. I'm trying to actually sell my tickets to that game because I can't make it. So if you're looking to go to the Bruins game, hit me up. I'm trying to sell my tickets.
I haven't been to a game in a minute.
I'm not trying to make money on it. I'm just trying to sell the tickets. Bobby, hit me up. And Prize Picks. We already talked about our good friends at Prize Picks. So that's a little little CLNS refresher there. And yeah, I want to jump right into Credit Cake. John Zanis may or may not jump on if he can get home in time. He's away or he's out, but he's gonna try to jump on if he can. But we'll see. But we're gonna do Credit Cake, and why don't we start with ladies first? Noah's a huge Credit Cake fan. Not a big fan of the blame pie, but always in on the Credit Cake. So we're gonna do Credit Cake, and this is who gets the credit. Slice up your cake for the Celtics being 17-11, 28 games into the season, and going into Christmas at 17-11 because they will not have a Christmas Day game. They play the day after Christmas is it at Indiana or is it home?
At Indiana.
At Indiana. Okay. And then
but they play Monday too.
They play Monday. Yes. Okay. You're right. Sorry. They play tomorrow.
The home and home.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's Sunday. Monday is their last game before Christmas. Got it.
Yep.
Anyways, Amit, hit me with Noah's Credit Cake. We're going to break this down graphic style. Noah, you can take us through, slice it up.
Wow, it's vegan.
Whoa.
Thank you guys.
A lot of slices.
First thing I'll say
Credit Cake. Very nice. I'm going to pass.
First thing I'll say is that okay, enough. First thing I'll say is Joe, where it says Missoula, I think it's Missoula and the coaching staff because
don't forget the assistants.
Sam Cassell's going to be pissed.
You guys are so annoying. Joe represents the coaching staff because he is the face. He's who speaks to the media, but there is a whole staff that returns completely from last year as well. And I think that continuity has benefited them too. So I'm giving him a quarter of the pie. I'm giving Jaylen a quarter of the pie for playing at a first team All-NBA MVP ballot level. This was kind of tough. I think I might have mistyped this, but generally speaking, I'm giving about 10% to Derrick, Kata, Jordan, and Pritchard, all of whom have been kind of the other four starters for this team for the most part. And then Hugo gets 5%, and the rest of the guys get 5%, but I honestly feel bad about that because I feel like Josh Minot should be listed here. He was responsible for a couple of early season wins. Anfernee Simons also, I think he's had some big moments. I don't know. Amari, you said?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It's hard. I'm not as much as I prefer credit cake to blame pie. It's still hard because I feel like I'm leaving people on the table. Brad Stevens.
I think it's a good list.
But thank you.
Brad Stevens.
Tried my best. And I just say while I have the floor, I just want to give a shout out to Hugo Garza for his performance today in particular, because I think fans and sometimes the media too, but mostly just the general public can have this perception of like, this guy just sucks. Like this guy, he's terrible when he's on the floor. He got a lot of flack for his plus minus numbers earlier in the season because Kata's were so much better. There's a reason why these players are in the NBA. There's a reason why Brad Stevens went out and signed Hugo Garza the first day of free agency. And it doesn't mean that he doesn't have flaws to his game. It doesn't mean that there haven't been some tough moments with him on the floor, but he has a gift for crashing the glass, for playing super hard. And I think you saw that today. You saw that against Orlando. You've seen that in moments this season, and he will continue to be a part of this team. So like I feel like just as a PSA to fans, when there's this feeling of like, this guy sucks, why is he on the team? Like there is a reason why. And if he's used as best as possible and if the opportunity comes, like you will see that reason. And like Sam Hauser, same thing, right? He got a lot of flack the last few weeks. Maybe they don't win against Miami if he doesn't, catch some fire in the fourth quarter there. So everybody finds their moment. It's not going to be every single night. Baylor Shireman is a lot of like, oh, he's just doing cardio out there. Then he comes out today and has like a great 5-minute stint, right? So just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, that's my credit cake.
Wow. So just to be clear, you sliced up the cake. Everyone, a lot of guys are getting slices here, but then like you just took like the last piece and just like threw it to the dogs, basically to fight
everybody.
Kind of what happened.
Yeah.
there?
Well,
everyone's just like clawing at the last piece.
Yeah. Everybody else. Well, you have to have it everybody else, or else you're saying that some people get 0% of the credit, you know? So
You meant well. Yeah, no, you meant well. I just feel like maybe you probably caused there's probably some injured.
what does
We'll
this
have
mean?
to put
Noah's
that down to
vegan?
like
Noah's vegan, that
0.5.
explains a lot. What does it explain?
Yeah, what does that explain precisely?
I'd
Go
like a
on,
follow-up,
Peter.
Peter. Thank you.
Yeah. And by the way, welcome to the show. You didn't know Noah was vegan. We only talk about it like every show. Unbelievable. That's
All
true.
right,
Also,
Jimmy,
you're passing
slice
out a
up
lot of
yours.
cake. Passing out a lot of cake. We don't even know if these players want that. We don't know if they want the vegan cake anyways, but we
Sneaking
are
a vegan
passing it
brownie
out
by me.
just in case. Bobby, you don't want to go next? You want me to go?
Yeah, sure. You're the host. You pick.
I want you to go. I mean, I don't think anyone really cares about my cake. I think they care more about your guys' cake. So Bobby's up here. Take us
I
through
went
it,
with a
Bobby.
smaller one. Yeah, because I'm giving Brown a hefty slice. I know they win without him tonight. Maybe I'm wrong, especially after this win here. But to me, I think this would be a much different season if you didn't have just the enormous production from Jaylen night in, night out. I know the plus minus numbers don't speak to that level of impact with him, but I'm not buying it. I think that he's played with second units. I think there's a lot of noise there, a lot of reasons that hasn't gone his way in terms of the analytics, and they have been better this year than they have in years past. He's had an enormous impact this year. You need to know that someone's scoring 30 coming in pretty much every night. And I'm always going to give a player a little more impact than a coach, but Joe deserves a big one too here. And maybe a tie is fair there. I think that's a good argument, Noah, that they should have equal share atop this team. But I'll give Brown an edge.
Noah went with Brown and Missoula at an even percentage, and so did Bobby. Very interesting so far.
Well, I was getting, it's
Yeah. And
It's all
giving
relative. It makes
I'm
sense.
giving them a bigger share of the team. And honestly, Joe gets such a big one to me because I give him credit for the success of Minot, Garza, guys up and down the lineup who, again, I think have been put in positions to succeed. I don't think many of those guys have done extraordinary things. Credit to them for what they've done here. But Missoula, the coaching, the system, clearly from forcing the turnovers to the offensive rebounding to the threes and everything you can mention that he's done here. I think it all stems from Missoula and staff, if we want to call it that. So Keita, next up, I said this to you the other day, Noah, he's been indispensable to me. Like I cannot imagine, especially since they've gone small ball of late, this team without Keita. Again, the fact that he's doing it every single night, it's just, what you're getting from him pretty much across the board. He hasn't been benched. There hasn't been a spot start by other centers. Got hurt, bounced right back. Yesterday, hits the floor twice, bangs up his back, keeps rolling. I think just in terms of the position he's played here and how much they've needed from guys at that spot and how little they've gotten from others, obviously outside of Garza tonight, I'm giving him the third biggest slice there, ahead of White, only because I feel like White, Pritchard, Simons have collectively filled that spot. I'll give White a little bit more credit than Pritchard, who is supposed to be that last spot right there, alongside Walsh, 5% for both of them.
Where is that?
But White gets a little bit more to me because starting this year, blocks, steals, defensive impact every single night, point guard play, never turned it over. I think he was a pretty stabilizing force even through some of the early struggles. Pritchard deserves some modest share. He's been a steady starter for this team. And then Walsh emerges one too. So, I mean, what is this? This is the 5 starters right here, right? White, Walsh, Keita, Brown, and Pritchard, and along with the coach. So, the bench has been fine. I'm not going to gush about the bench too much. They've done their job in spots, ups and downs there. I could have done maybe in everybody else category there like Noah, but I think these are the primary reasons, the primary contributors to their great start.
Okay. And by the way, my math is, as everybody knows, isn't great. So I'm realizing now that you gave Brown 35 and Joe 30. It wasn't an even split like I said before. So I actually
Noah's was an even split.
Noah's was an even split. You gave Brown a little bit of a
little bit
percentage. Yeah, which is fair. Noah, any comments on Bobby's? Any issues with it, with the cake, with the dishing of the cake?
No issues. No, it's hard. It is, it's hard because some of it is like an aggregate, and then some of it is you look at the 17 wins and like how many of those wins did certain guys drive, or like maybe their absence, you would have lost without them. But for the most part, yeah, it seems like the right people to have on board.
It's fair. All right, we got a couple of cakes dished out. We'll look at mine now. Mine is sliced up a lot less than you guys here.
Jimmy did not want to do much math here.
I have 3
He
slices.
was hosting. He was hosting.
I have 3 chunks of my cake, and I'll defend it though. I
At
think
least Brad gets a slice here.
I'm giving Brad okay. So let's start with the obvious one, Brown. I think we all agree. I think we all had Brown as our largest slice of the cake, if I'm right there. Anyone who's watched the Celtics this year cannot talk about this team's success without talking about Jaylen Brown first and foremost. He's leading this team on the court, off the court. He's really embraced the leadership role, the captain role, whatever you want to call it. So many NBA superstars could have mailed this season in and said
he's the captain.
I said, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it. I think in the past, Bobby, we've heard him refer to himself as the captain. So I think the team looks at him that way, especially this season, regardless of whether or not there's a C on the jersey. And I think he's playing like it. I think that what I was saying was, there's a lot of probably NBA stars or superstars that would look at the way this season was supposed to go. But I think, if you're somebody like me, or if you looked at the roster and said, you know what, I'm not putting my body on the line. I'm not, going to waste, my energy or this and that and the other thing. But he's a professional, and he came into the season ready to go. He was determined to prove people wrong. He was determined to show that this team is a lot better than what people are giving them a chance to be. And he's playing like one of the best players in the NBA. And so he gets a huge chunk. He gets half of this pie, because without Jaylen Brown playing the way he's been playing, I don't care what other players are what any of the other players are doing. Jaylen Brown is by far, and again, tonight he didn't play and they still won. I'm not saying they literally can't win without him, but he is the number one reason that they are 17-11 based on the way he's played. Mazzulla gets 40%, and Mazzulla kind of represents the bench and the player. Mazzulla kind of represents the bench, because what I'm saying
that's what I said. Yeah.
What I said earlier was that, Mazzulla has been able to sort of raise the floor of a lot of these guys. I think that, what he's gotten out of Walsh, you can give Walsh a slice of that 40%. Basically, if Mazzulla I give Mazzulla 40% of the cake, he can go dish out that cake to his, bench guys any way he feels fit, the way I see it. Because, what he's gotten from Walsh, what he's been able to do with Minot at points, obviously with, guys being able to come in here and there, like we talked about tonight. Garza, for example. I'm not going to give Garza a slice of the credit cake, but I think Mazzulla is a big reason why Garza has been able to contribute when he's been called upon, right? Same with Minot, same with, Noah, you talked about Shireman, not really cracking the rotation, but still being able to contribute at points. And I think Mazzulla gets a huge piece of, or a huge amount of credit for having his guys ready at a moment's notice, right? And coaching his players up to fit their strengths. So that's why he gets the 40%. And I'm never going to give the coach more than the player. So meaning Brown. So that's why I give Brown the edge there. And I think those two guys are basically the reason that the Celtics are where they are right now. And I'm giving Brad 10% because he constructed this roster. He was, obviously we knew, I think 99% of us knew that they were going to be forced to make some, roster cuts in order to meet the salary cap threshold and avoid the taxpayer, this, that, and the other thing. And Bobby can go talk about that all you want to hear about that stuff, listen to Bobby or listen to whoever. But point I'm trying to make is Brad had to do what he had to do to get this roster to a certain number. And he brought in players at low salaries, Minot, Garza being one. He drafted Walsh, and I thought Walsh was going to be nothing. And Walsh has been a great asset and great player to this team this year. He's been able to keep him and Mazzulla, I think, have been able to keep the right mindset with these players, keep the right attitude, keep the winning tradition kind of going strong here in what a lot of people called, a gap year, or, one of those years where, just get to next year and get Tatum back. I think Brad's attitude is, they say attitude reflects leadership. And I think the leaders at the top, Brown, Brad, Mazzulla, I think their attitudes and their leadership trickles on down to how these players approach every game. And we see this Celtics team a lot of times playing harder than the opponent. out there on the court.
That's another
Sometimes they
credit to
might lose.
Missoula.
Right. Sometimes they might lose because of talent, but I don't think they often lose because of effort or lack of energy. So that's how I'm slicing up the pie. That isn't to say that none of those other players deserve any credit. I just think when you're talking about why this team is 17-11 right now, these are the 3 reasons why. And listen, I got the hard hat on. I can't tip my cap, but I can hit that hard hat for the way that this team is playing. This is a hard hat team more than the last few seasons. Because
this is a fun team.
Couple seasons have won on talent.
I have a
winning
question
right now because they're playing hard. They're showing up. They're strapping on the boots and the hard hats and they're getting after it. And that's a credit to the guys at the top and really instilling that on down.
I have a question, Jimmy, before we wrap this up, and you make me think of it there. As we get into the season, what is it, 17-11 now? They've been good. They've been every game. They're 3rd in the East. When's Boston going to fully buy in, embrace, know this team, know the characters, like some of the last couple of years here? Because whether it's because of the Patriots still rolling here, or just early season, no one knowing what's going on, a little bit of inconsistency to begin the season. I don't feel like there's full buy-in from the city. The crowds have been good. I think people are generally interested. Yeah, I don't think the city's fully buy. When is that going to happen?
It's not going to happen till like maybe trade deadline type area. I mean, the diehards are obviously going to support, but you're talking like when are people going to actually believe and take notice? You're a couple months away, I think. Honestly.
Get excited
I think a lot of people are waiting to see if this is real still. Absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, I'm one of them, hand up. I'm still, part of me is still skeptical that this is something that they can sustain and maintain. They've obviously had health on their side, which is great. Knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood.
So much of it is going to be Tatum, unfortunately.
Oh,
I think part of it is
hype comes back, you mean?
Yeah.
I felt like that stretch where they won like 8 of 10 games, there was a change in the way this team was perceived by Celtics fans at large and people in Boston, where it went from being like, oh, I hope we tank. And then it's like, oh, okay, we're not tanking, but we're still not very good. Like, this kind of sucks. And then it was like, wait, what if this team is like actually legit? And then they lose those 2 games. And I feel like that kind of sucked a little bit of the life out of that feeling. But if they continue to hover around 3rd seed as the season progresses and the NFL season wraps up and like more eyes move to the NBA kind of
that's
usual.
true. Football ends in February.
I really like, doesn't it feel like December is always like the most lackluster time for basketball anyways? I do think that there's going to be
Christmas is a jump off for a lot of people though. Christmas is when a lot of like casuals start to pay attention.
Yeah, and unfortunately they're not on it this year.
I know. It's just around that time though.
No Celtics.
I know.
And not a lot of marquee matchups coming up either. They haven't been on national TV a lot. I think that's impacted things. And to your point, Noah, that Knicks win, I think that was an NBC one, like full national audience. Those were a couple.
They've had a couple of good national wins, like Lakers, Pistons, where Jaylen's like streamed right after. Like it just feels like, it just feels like that the tides turn. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about. Wait a second, this team. Like all of a sudden, I opened up my YouTube page and like all of the podcasts were like, are the Celtics legit? Are they like, they're just jumping up everybody's rankings and all that. So it does feel like the tides kind of turn in that sense. But really from the beginning of the year, when I bump into people on the street or wherever else talking about the Celtics, everybody loves this team. Like there's this feeling of like, oh, I love Jordan. I love Hugo. Oh, who's Josh Minot? Like where'd he come from? Like
you've been saying that. I'm pleasantly surprised by that. Yeah. Because I haven't felt the buy-in.
You haven't felt that?
Not yet. But I think there's some intrigue.
Lying to me.
I think no, I mean, I think you're talking to, if I feel like if anyone recognizes us, they're obviously huge Celtics fans, right? So I think the huge Celtics fans are going to be quicker to believe than the quote unquote, casuals or the people who only watch the national TV.
Yeah, I don't even know how to measure what I'm talking about. I don't know how the ratings have been. I don't know. Like,
I know you start to hear it more on the radio. You start to hear the chatter about it. People get fired up for big
nationally
games.
Too.
Start to get texts from friends who aren't like the biggest fan. That's kind of when I gauge it. If I'm starting to hear from people who are, I know aren't diehards, but are sports fans, and I haven't really gotten that with the Celtics yet. So it's not there yet, but if they keep pulling off these wins and they keep climbing, and I guess I should say sustaining, it'll happen. I know that it's still very difficult for like Celtics season. It feels like Celtics season ticket holders that I've talked to. They're not able to sell games certainly the way they have been the last couple
The
years.
crowd's been fine.
Hasn't turned in that
It's
sense.
gotten a little better recently, I feel like. And, I'll be interested. Again, they're playing 7 straight games against teams below 500 here. It is feasible that they could roll through Indiana twice, although, as we saw with Brooklyn, that's not a given. Yeah, the back-to-back matchups there. Portland, Utah, Sacramento, Clippers, Bulls. They could win all of those games the way they've played if they continue to stay consistent and locked in. A road trip can help for a team that's locked in and bought in and all those different things. I think it can even increase your level of focus, even though traveling is tough. Probably a back-to-back mixed in there too. New Year's, all that. So I think this stretch, if they go through this and crush it, I'd imagine that game on the 7th against Denver's National, that could be a moment for them where they're atop the East with the Knicks and Pistons, maybe even in that top spot or number 2. And then the conversation will be happening into January. Like, is this Celtics team one of the best teams in the East? And you know what? Watching this game tonight, like, this Raptors team's been one of the better teams in the league so far. And the Celtics have made relatively easy work of them. Like, none of those games felt tough, the 2 they've played there so far. They were challenging. They met some resistance, but they felt every bit as good, if not better, than the Raptors here. And I think that's how all of us felt about these 2 teams coming into the season. They're in the same class as everybody else. The Knicks are great. Love the Knicks. Still see them as the favorites, but they're not a million miles ahead of the Celtics here. Detroit, same deal. 3 very competitive games between those teams. I mean, it is feasible that the Celtics are every bit as good as any team in the East. Like, even without Tatum right now, which is unbelievable. But that's the level they've coached at. That's the level Jaylen's played at. It's exciting what this team's doing right now. And I'm looking ahead on the schedule. Jimmy, I can't look at this and not say it, but we're getting awfully close to the Luke return game.
You counting down the days?
January 10th. How many days?
What, do you have any big plans, Bobby? Like
Yeah.
a big story?
Try not to get arrested for like getting too close, maybe.
21 days.
Like, try not to violate the restraining order, maybe. How about
3 weeks from today, Luke will be back at the Garden. Talk about
That soon.
Jimmy, you will have no trouble selling your ticket that night.
Oh, I'm not
Jimmy,
selling.
I think you should request the press pass for that game. Why don't you come to the game?
Well, I
That's a
have a
big
feeling I'm going to
game.
have to.
Just be there for
I have a
Bobby.
feeling. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to have to go once Bobby's removed. So I'll be ready. Bobby, you going to try to get are you already trying to angle for that one-on-one? Have you been like on Spurs media?
That would be great.
email?
That would be great. I feel like it's
Yeah.
well deserved. I feel like
I think that's
the
going to be a
contract
pretty
he
crowded
signed-
locker room.
I think you've earned it.
I think that's going to be a pretty crowded.
Maybe there'll be a little
Celtics
shoot around. Everyone will be at, well, let me ask you this. Will there be more Celtics media? Okay. You guys have, this is a test.
It's
This
a
is
back-to-back for the
this-
Celtics.
This is a test for you guys. Okay. This is like journalism 101 test. You walk into the Spurs locker room. You're the only reporter there, but you only have 5. You only have time to talk to one player. Are you going to Wemby or are you going to Luke?
Great question.
Luke.
You're going to Luke?
Great
This is
answer.
the way. Okay, this is an easy one for me because what do
Fail.
I don't know a ton
Go back
about
to
Wemby
journalism school.
personally, so I don't really have the right questions to ask him. I know a lot more about, like, I'm a more valuable reporter in a Luke Hornets
Okay.
scrum than
I
a
like that
Wemby
answer.
scrum. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Jimmy,
You might
don't
get a
even have
better
to ask that
sound.
question.
You might get a better, like, I think you'll obviously get a lot more local interest from the Luke sound, right? Obviously, that's what a lot of Celtics fans want to hear about. Wemby is the ticket.
We're talking
right?
about
Wemby's
this
the
game like
reason-
it's tomorrow.
Why not? Let's
Thanks.
just let's get to January 10th, right?
Oh, I
Um,
can't wait.
I think that'll definitely be. And when Luke coming into the game, Bobby, another journalism 101 question: will you be on your feet or will you try to contain yourself there? Will you be kind
When
of clapping
the
under
video
table?
tribute goes, you might see one reporter standing up and clapping.
Will you have tissues just to fight back the tears just in case? Or
Yeah, I could see that happening.
yeah, All right. Well, we get some time. You get some time to sort of pull it together. What's up? Anything from you guys before Monday, or we'll just see you Monday?
No, tune in to the Pats coverage tomorrow. I'm sure those guys will be killing it. Big game. Ravens
game,
tomorrow.
Pats.
So yeah.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
Patriots are a football team. Just FYI. No, you're not much of a football.
she knows.
I
She's
was
super
at a
fan.
I thought she famously was out on football. Am I wrong on that?
I was at a page. Were you at a Patriots game this season?
Yeah, I was. Thank you, Bengals.
Oh,
Yeah, nice
were
try.
you really?
Yeah, I was.
Well, did they
That was a
win?
fun- That was a fun game. Yes, they
Did
won.
they win?
Diggs had his
They
first
They won
touchdown
every
of the
game
year.
pretty much.
They didn't lose. They
Well,
lost last week after being
I
up
guess she missed last week's
21-0.
probably.
Lock
know.
in.
Tomorrow night's a big game
Buffalo
for the Pats.
Bills.
I think if the Pats pull it off, the respect will be there. But if they don't, I think it's completely out the window. If they lose tomorrow to Baltimore, I think from a national standpoint, they're going to be looked at as kind of fraudulent. And I don't think they'll be a team that people will be very confident in going into the playoffs. That's just where I'm at with this team.
It's all about health to me. Where are they at health-wise going into the playoffs? Because they're not very healthy right now at the moment.
No, they're missing some key guys on defense, and it obviously showed against Buffalo. And you just don't want to hit a situation where
Drake
Lamar
May just needs
Jackson's-
to improve against man coverage is the big thing for me.
Okay, no, just like, where'd you get that? Who told you to say that?
Ahmed.
Nice. Amit will be locked in tomorrow. Producer Amit is also producer for like all the Patriots shows and really every show, almost probably. So keep it locked on CLNS tomorrow. We will see everybody back here Monday. Subscribe to the Garden Report on CLNS Network. Monday against Indy.
The Pacers. Yep. You're Pacers, Jimmy.
My
Tough
Pacers.
year for them.
It's very, very tough.
Noah's
year.
Pacers.
We knew it would be.
She jumped
a
on the
tough year.
bandwagon last year.
We knew it
No
would be
knee
tough.
snap.
Last year.
I think we knew it would be this tough, but the Pacers are going the route that I think, I guess we'll find out at the end of the year if the
Remember
Celtics
tanking?
should have.
Everyone wanted to tank. You'd be like Indiana right now. We would not be having a fun year where Indiana's at. They're second worst team in the league.
You'd be locked into the college basketball season that's underway. If you were Indy right now,
so
a lot of
crazy. They
basketball
were
left to be
so
played.
close to winning the title.
I thought they were going to do it actually, but
Me too.
always wrong.
Would have
so
been
I
a cool
guess that
run.
was the kiss of death. Would have been a cool run. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. It happens fast. The window closes very quickly. But this Boston Celtics, they refuse. They get somebody's just holding it up, holding that window up, making sure that this season is not a gap year. Anyways, we're gonna call it. I want to say thanks to Noah and Bobby for jumping on a Saturday night. For those of you guys all watching from home, have a great rest of your weekend. Happy holidays. If we don't talk to you Monday, but Monday night will be a fun show. We always do a little Christmassy vibe on the last. Usually it has been on Christmas, but this year might be a little bit different. But we'll try to mix in some Christmas aspects to the show, all that good stuff. So we're gonna sign off for Bobby, for Noah, for the Celtics who took this one against Toronto, 112-96. Peace. Amit.